Hello, I'm Kurt Whitesell, and welcome to the greatest podcast in the world out of Westfield, Indiana. Today I have an awesome guest. It's an update from our Mayor Scott Willis, and we're going to hear about Grand Junction Plaza, Grand Park, a comprehensive plan, and all kinds of awesome stuff. I hope you enjoy. Hi, Mayor Scott Willis. How are you today?
Great. How are you, Kurt?
Pretty good. Thank you very much. So I always ask, what would you normally be doing at 10:32 on Friday as the mayor of Westfield?
Meetings. This is actually a break for me to actually do a podcast, but my days for the last, since I became mayor has just been meeting after meeting after meeting nonstop. It's been crazy.
Scott, are those your meetings or are they meetings that people are requesting of you? Where do those meetings originate?
Most of the meetings are originating from people who want to interact with me as mayor from outside, whether it be a developer or a business or a charity or another government entity. It can be a variety of sources. But
are these meetings? Are they relationships typically that are just ongoing, or is there a lot of new people that you're meeting, new developers, new organizations, stuff like that?
most of it's new, and there's some of the old folks that I've known for years through either being on council or just running for mayor. But a lot of the meetings I'm having are introductions and learning about different organizations in our community.
Mm-hmm. So, how long have you been mayor now?
8 months. 8 joyous months.
Now you hit it pretty hard. I think you may have been you were working before you actually became mayor, but you hit it pretty hard. What has been something that 8 months into it is still just frustrating going from private to public full time, from your private business to a mayor full time?
The layers of bureaucracy is crippling. Coming from the private sector, and I worked 30 years in the Marine Corps. That's a government agency, but this is on a whole nother level. I mean, some of the stuff that we're working on right now, I started working on before I was mayor. We're talking over a year of trying to get a project to the council to get it started, and it's still out there. I mean, we've got so much stuff percolating right now, so many exciting things I'd love to share with you, but we're just not there yet. We should be there in my mind.
Yeah.
But the people that are familiar with how development and government works, they're telling me, wow, you guys are moving so fast. And I feel like we're crawling. I'm just going to be honest. It feels
and
slow.
It's just how it is, right? It's not like you're doing it wrong or it's a poor system, a poor process. It's just how the system works, right?
It is. And some of that's good. You don't want government to be too nimble. Because then you can overreact and send it down a path that's not good. The process is set up to be very methodical and thoughtful in how we do things. And so that's not a bad thing. But when you're a driver like me, and I'm not a super patient guy, it can send me home at night frustrated. I found out about this exciting project yesterday that is looking very strong in Westville. First time I've even heard about it. And my reaction to my staff was, well, tell it to get in line because we got 8 other ones just like this we've been talking about for a year. So
right. See you in 2026. Right.
Yeah, we'll see you when I'm dead and gone.
That would be frustrating, because you're there for the 4 years. Even you saw this on the council, where you work on something behind the scenes and you don't see it come to fruition necessarily while you're on, in term. And so a lot of stuff could happen after you're long gone that you worked on.
And when you're on council, you wouldn't find out about the project until it was coming to you. So there was a lot of work happening behind the scenes for many, many months. And you just didn't know what was happening. So when you hear the news, it's like, oh, this is super exciting. And it comes out into the public. We got an announcement we think's coming in September that I've been working on since March. That's going to be super exciting. And it's old news to me now. I'm like, I'm not even going to be excited when we announce it. I've been talking about it internally for 8 months. Big deal.
You're already tired of the secret, aren't you?
I'm even tired of the secret, and it hasn't even been given yet. It's frustrating.
So that's kind of my next question. What's something, and I know you can't talk about stuff, but what's something you're really excited about in Westfield that just gets you juiced every day?
downtown revitalization. We've got right now 4 active projects, with a fifth one kind of percolating that we've told, hey, we need a little bit more time before we're going to be willing to talk about it with that developer. But we've got 4 very active projects. 2 or 3 of them that's kind of be presented this year. And that's what gets me up. Because as a resident for the last 20 years, that's been my frustration is why is nothing happening downtown? Everywhere around us, their downtowns are exploding with exciting development and really creating these gathering places for communities. And I've certainly gone into them and enjoyed them with their residents. And I've wanted that for Westfield for a long time. And it's finally starting to happen. And I'm really, really excited about that.
Won't it be neat to run into someone that you've been talking about this to for 20 years downtown and be like, it's here. Well, that's why we're here, right?
I can't wait for that first ribbon cutting. Obviously, we've got one project that's going now that I was on council when it was approved. And I'm excited to get that one off the ground and get it open to the public. But we've got, like I said, 4 more of those. And it's just going to, within the first 3 to 4 years of my administration, it's just going to transform what's happening downtown.
So I met with a 24-year-old investment banker the other day, and he lives downtown Indianapolis, and he graduated from Westfield High School. Real nice guy. His family still lives here. And he said him and his friends and people he meets downtown are from Hamilton County, and they look forward to there being options in Westfield to move into. Do you think we'll immediately draw a lot of younger people back to Westfield or retain them better because of that?
I do. I absolutely do. There's a huge pent up demand. I've heard it as a resident, as a counselor, now as mayor. A lot of people asking why we don't have better options for our young folks. You know, they're living in Carmel, they're living in Fishers, they're living in Indy, and they want to be able to come home, but they're just not going to come home for what we have to offer today. So yes, I think there's a huge pent up demand, and I think once these projects come online, you're going to see an influx of young professionals coming back to our community.
It'll be neat, won't it? The energy that comes with that it's transformational to a downtown when you have young people. So cool.
It is, and what Westfield has missed for a very, very long time. You know, we have the originals. You know, those Westfield residents who were born and raised here and have lived here for generations. And we love and value every single one of them, but it's a very, very small percent of our community. And a lot of the folks like myself who have lived here, you know, 20 years, or even those that have lived here 5 or 10 years, they're raising their kids and they're sending them away from Westfield. They're not coming back, and we're not creating a population in Westfield that is regenerating, that's, you know, staying, raising their kids, retiring, their grandkids come in the community. We're not seeing that. And I'm excited about changing that. We have a tremendous amount of pride around our schools and Westfield Rocks and all that kind of good stuff, but we don't build that long-term commitment into our community, into our school district, like maybe a Noblesville has, where, you know, a lot of those residents have been there for a big chunk of their residents have been there their whole lives.
Okay, downtown. Let's talk about the schools. You brought up the schools. The schools have purchased a ton of ground west side of Westfield, which was kind of no man's land because it was undevelopable because of cost and things like that. What effect do you think the schools moving out there and bringing utilities and stuff, do you think that does for the west side of Westfield?
It's going to activate it. And when I was on council, at the time they came before us for the approval of the new middle school there on the west side of the city. And I made the comment then, this school is outside of our comprehensive plan. Our comprehensive plan doesn't go that far west. So they're forcing our hands, and it's not a bad thing. It's just reality. The schools are ahead of the city in terms of strategically how they're viewing their future. And they've always been a couple of steps ahead of us. I'm hoping we'll catch up and we'll be very strategic and forward thinking like they've been. But now, we're getting ready to start this new comprehensive plan, and it's an absolute must because we have no vision for what happens west or even what goes around the high or the middle school. So that project is going to activate and push our residents out into the very far western corner of the county.
Will development require annexation to the west, or is that already incorporated?
Well, State Road 32 has been annexed all the way to Boone County, but yeah, you get north or south of 32, and that growth will involve an annexation. But it's township annexation. We already control the zoning on it, so it's not like annexing into a new township or a community where it's a much more difficult process because you just can't go take land from a community.
Well, I think it's neat because there's always been a somewhat of a vision that there's a district out there, like a village area on that side of town, and there's nothing to drive it.
Yeah.
And so I think it's neat that the schools are moving out there now. I'm sure the preservation side, it makes them a little uneasy, but I think it'll be neat to see how the comprehensive plan dictates that area. What should we expect
I'm
of that?
anxious to see it too. We've been saying no since I've been mayor to a lot of the residential projects that have come before us because it's out there in that area, and we just don't have a vision, and we're not going to allow development to happen just for the sake of developing. We want to be very thoughtful in what we're doing. So this comprehensive plan is absolutely critical to set a strategy around how do we grow and develop that western and northwestern corridor of our township.
So, okay, Grand Park. Awesome about Grand Park right now. What are you working on? What are you looking forward to? What's the status of it? Things like that.
So, well, first off, we're nearing the end of the long process of coming to an agreement with a new operator to run the park, and that will be the first time that the private sector has really stepped in and taken control of the operations of Grand Park, which I think is a much needed step. We should have that contract solidified, if not by the end of the year, sooner. We're just at the very final stages of dotting every I and crossing every T. We announced, I don't know, maybe a month or two ago, a vision for the southern half of Grand Park, where the pond is right now. We've developed this vision for a canal and another lake with this waterfront village concept that's going to be really neat. We're just finishing up the final stages of that development. We partnered with two different urban planners, one out of Boston, one out of Austin, Texas, that are coming in. We did a charrette about 2 weeks ago. What is that? Well, that's where city and private landowners and developers and these consultants come in. We lock ourselves in a room. We were locked in a room for 4 straight days, and we're spitballing ideas and coming up with a vision. Before they left, they provided 2 just rough sketch visions of what it could be. And then they're going to come back in October. We're going to do it again. And by November, we're going to release a new vision for inside the park, a new village. So the event center is at, and then that huge parking lot to the south. We're going to redevelop all that into a village concept. It's going to look a little bit like a Busch, is it Busch Gardens or Titletown in Green Bay, where you see these, this professional sports venue and then a village around it that feeds that stadium. We're developing that unique to Grand Park, and that's going to be a game changer in giving visitors and athletes an option for food and retail and entertainment there on the campus of Grand Park. So that's happening behind the scenes. And then we've got several projects that we're looking at both on the north and the south side of the park that's going to offer up family entertainment options for our community as well. And if you go to the east, we got Grand Universe. And if you'd have talked to me a year ago, I'd have said there's no way that thing ever happens. And I'm just telling you, it's going to happen. I'm super excited about where we're at. They've brought in some really heavy hitters on the development side. Good. And I think that vision is going to come to fruition. I really do.
Well, it is a neat idea. It'd be a cool amenity for visitors and the community. So I hope it happens. I know they hope it happens. My gosh.
They've been talking about for 5 years.
They can't have another ribbon cutting or
No, no
groundbreaking.
more ribbon cuttings until it's real.
So one of the things about Grand Park, and I'm sure um, Park is in no way what it was originally envisioned. It seems like it's just a constantly changing product, or it's constantly growing as you see needs and things like that. Um, do you like that part? That Grand Park's like an open canvas still, or a blank canvas still?
Yeah, I am. It's not met its potential yet. Certainly, the operation of the park, I mean, has far exceeded the vision of Mayor Cook. I
Mm-hmm.
can remember him saying early in the development of Grand Park that he thinks he can get 250,000 people into the park each year, which is
That's
really, I
awesome.
mean, it's comical. But I can remember
Uh-huh.
hearing him say that and saying, "This guy is crazy. He's a
Out of his
lunatic.
mind.
This isn't going to happen." And now, what? This year we had 5.5 million visitors, so it
Mhm.
has far exceeded, I think, what anybody ever thought it would be. But where it has fallen short, which is equally important, is the economic engine that Grand Park can be for the community. Other than State Road 32 and fast food restaurants, we really haven't seen a lot. A couple hotels, but not really seen a lot in terms of driving development, businesses, those kinds of things that the park can do. And that's
Mhm.
where I'm focusing my energy at. And that's what we're going to hopefully be able to deliver in the next 5 to 10 years.
So when you sign on with an operator, and this may not be answerable, when you sign on with this new operator of Grand Park, do does the city still retain creative control over what happens in there? Like you're saying, you want to have a village and stuff. Is that going to be on that operator, or is that on the city still? Because the city
The
owns it.
city still controls that. And in the agreement, there's going to be a section that talks about partnering with one of the entities, the joint venture that is becoming GPSE, the
Hmm.
operator. There's a company called Keystone Construction, and we're partnering with them. They will be the master developer of that 40-acre village that is
Hmm.
inside Grand Park, but we
Good.
still own the land. So
Hmm.
that will be on us. They will be a partner in it, but we control that vision with the understanding that we're not going to significantly impact their ability to run tournaments at the park. So we're not going to take away fields or anything like that. We're just going to maybe move some things around and maximize the land that's available.
Was that a big was that a big driver in selecting them over someone else, that their capability of doing like that fold, they can develop, they can things like that?
It played a role. It wasn't the primary reason, but it
Hmm.
certainly added some nice features that nobody else could offer that was bidding on it.
Hmm. Um, so let's go to the comprehensive plan event, or whatever. You hired someone to do a comprehensive plan. What's the process of that? What, now that they're on board, you've signed the deal. How do you set them on their way, and what do you work on with them moving forward?
So step one will be internal meetings within the city to start to understand better what we're tasking them with. What are they looking at? What's my vision for the city long term? And then they'll start going to work on their own and start looking at the bones of our city, the infrastructure, and areas that aren't developed, and start to look at how they can build out a vision for what will end up being the entire township, Westfield Washington Township. Eventually we'll bring in a resident portion or a resident opportunity to weigh in. And there'll be multiple steps along the way. We'll be seeking advice and feedback from residents on things they'd like to see or not see. And they'll start to put shape around this. And then the final stage will be coming back to the city and to the council and pitching the idea and making final tweaks to that. It'll take about 18 months.
Yeah.
And it's looking at everything from land development to our infrastructure. It's going to be much more comprehensive than I think what we've done in the past.
Hmm.
But it's a needed step.
And what do you want that tool for? What is that? Why is that important for a growing city to have a good, fresh, comprehensive plan?
Well, first off, our current comprehensive plan says we don't go west of Town Road, and we've already gone west of Town Road.
Uh-huh.
I mean, and
Oops.
yeah, oops, and at times, and I'm not casting stones at anybody because I voted on both on APC and as a council member. There were times I voted on projects that didn't necessarily align perfectly with the comprehensive plan. The original comprehensive plan we had was very vague in its language, and that was the past administration's goal. Is they didn't want to be hand tied to specifics. They wanted to have some fluidity or flexibility to react to good projects. We're going to be a little bit more detailed in ours, and things that the last comprehensive plan called for, like as you go west, you're going to reduce density, because the thought was as we go west, we're gonna start getting more rural, and then we're going to stop at Town Road. Well, that's just not realistic. That's not how development's happening in Hamilton County. I mean, every city is engulfing their township, and we're just the next one in line to do that. And so, refusing to accept that growth's going to happen outside that is not good. It's not good development, because then you start getting things just start happening, and then you look back later and you're like, that doesn't flow, that wasn't cohesive, why did we do that? Doesn't make sense. And you got bad development. So you want to have a vision that guides how the city behaves, but also the kinds of projects that you're going to get to vote on at council.
So is it the APC or is it the council that follows that more closely?
The APC certainly follows it more closely than anybody, because the APC is their task is to follow zoning standards, and part of that is reviewing its alignment with the comprehensive plan. Council is more of a political vote. Council can do whatever they want, quite frankly. They can ignore the comprehensive
plan.
Don't tell them that. Say again.
Don't tell them that.
Well, that's their right. I don't like the color of that building. I'm saying no to your project. They can do that. APC is not allowed to venture into your own personal preferences. The council it's a government, elected body, and they can do whatever they want. So they have two different focuses in how they look at a project.
So were you on planning commission?
APC? I was. That's how I started out my time volunteering with the city through the RDA, Redevelopment Authority. The RDA was created to own the land or the bonds for Grant Park. So I was involved fairly early in the whole land acquisition piece of Grant Park. Then I was asked by at the time that council to serve as their representative in the planning commission. I was on planning commission for probably 2.5 years, and then ran for council and became a city councilor. So I've seen it from a lot of different angles.
So does the planning, do they get handed that comprehensive plan, or are they part of the design of the final product?
APC will be involved, but they won't weigh in super heavy in terms of the vision of that. But we certainly want their feedback and input as well.
Because that becomes sort of their Bible, right?
It does. Yeah. It'll become their roadmap to how they function and how they approve development moving forward.
What's something you're hopeful the comprehensive plan identifies in this community? What's something that you think, if we had only had this years ago or right now, it would sure help things move along or more smoothly? What's something that identifiable?
Areas for commercial development. Right now, we don't really have. I mean, we've got these bubbles on our comprehensive plan that says this, that, or the other, but we haven't really identified areas or corridors or land that makes the most sense for commercial development. And commercial development's the most controversial. Nobody wants it in their backyard. Everybody wants it. Certainly helps your taxes, but nobody wants it in their backyard. So having a vision for where it goes, where it makes sense from an infrastructure standpoint, where is it supported best? And then being able to put that out there to the public. So, if you buy a house in this neighborhood, you know that, hey, this commercial project's going to go in behind you, and you may not like that. I just think that clarity is good for everybody. but it certainly
Do you
helps us
think there's
drive good development into the city.
Do you think there's a lot of spots that we just haven't recognized yet that will be good for commercial development?
I do. Yep, I do.
Mm-hmm. And do you think once we have started identifying the industrial developers, those groups that invest in that stuff, they're ready to do projects in Westfield?
Yes, but as you know, I mean, timing's everything. The economy certainly drives that, and right now is probably not a great time for manufacturing or high tech type jobs or a new factory coming into your community. That's just not, the economy's not supporting that right now, but that could shift tomorrow. And you just have to be ready. You have to be positioned so that when the coals are hot, you can strike. And we've missed some opportunities in Westfield. We're not going to rehash old wounds here, but there were opportunities for meaningful development in Westfield that we weren't ready for. We didn't have our ducks in a row to say yes to, and we lost them. And we've got to be positioned better so that when the markets turn and the coals are hot, we can strike at it.
How do we stay unique to you? How do you stay balanced? We need commercial development. We need industrial buildings. We need retail, the stuff that every suburb has. But how do you stay unique as a city, do you think?
That's a great question. First, you got to understand who you are, and you got to understand your history. And so we're looking at some pieces of development that's going to honor that and capitalize on. Park Street, obviously, a vision of Bob Beauchamp of taking those homes and renovating them into something really special. And we've got Park Street's a very unique type. It's a Westfield unique area of our city. And we're going to capitalize on that. We're going to do some things differently around it, but we're going to do some things to really harness that piece of Westfield that's so unique that the residents just absolutely love. And we've got more than that. We've got other areas of the city. We've got some historical buildings. We're obviously moving the Green Building. We're moving the old fire station. I mean, we're doing everything we can to preserve the old, but sprinkle in some of the new, because what was attractive to the Quakers in the mid 1800s is not attractive to Hoosiers today, or Americans today who are looking for communities to live, work, and play in. And so, we've got to be nimble to that, but we are looking at areas of our community, and we think there are other areas we haven't even thought about, like whether it be Horton area, the Hortonville area, or Jolietteville, Little Eagle Creek. We've got some little neat pieces that we're looking at, some unique things that will help make Westfield something different than a Carmel or a Fishers.
Yeah.
And I think too, a lot of people don't realize, like in downtown, we have more park space than any of the cities in Hamilton County. Asa Bales, Grand Junction, the Newbie farms that we're getting ready to do some parks there. Now, some of it is a reflection of our the reality of water, and we have real drainage issues, and we have places where we can't develop, but we're maximizing. Yeah.
See the floodway?
Yeah. See that floodplain runs right through our downtown. That makes it really difficult to develop, but we can take that natural feature and do some really cool things. And we're looking at a really neat development that's going to run along Cool Creek through Westfield that nobody else has. And some people say it's a curse because you can't maximize your assessed value of your downtown. I think it's a blessing because we're going to look very different and we're going to be unique, and that's great.
Well, where is the last thing? By the way, I think this has been a great conversation. I think it's one of our best, Scott. We're getting better at it.
Really?
Yeah, I do. We'll let the viewers decide.
We'll let your 5 or 10 followers decide on how it's received.
You had to say it, didn't you? So to my 5 or 10 followers, including my mom, who's going to say she loves it, where's something the community needs to, or you would love it if they got more involved in, other than
one
Facebook
more time,
comments?
I'm sorry, you broke up there at the beginning.
What is something that you wish the community, what's an opportunity that the community could be more involved in? And you're like, oh, it'd be awesome if we got more community involved in this stuff. What is something?
I think everything. Every community has this, right? You have your 10, 15, 20 people that are on Facebook and social media, and they're loud and they're angry and they're negative. And no matter what we do as a city, it's wrong. And that's okay. You need people like that. We listen, and sometimes there's some ideas that we're not thinking about, we need to adjust to. But the people that are happy, or the people that are, hey, we're super excited about the potential of Westfield, we want to see some exciting things coming, they don't always voice that. They don't always get involved. And as a result, all you're hearing from a feedback perspective is those that no matter what you do, they're not going to like it. And it'd be nice to see those that are really passionate about Westfield and its future and the growth that's coming to be cheerleaders and to be out there sharing their ideas and what they like and what they don't like. And it would make it easier as a mayor to be able to come up with some really unique things when you know that people are rallying behind it. I hear it every day when I'm out and about. Oh, I'm super excited about this. I'm super excited about that. But if you look at the places where most people go for information, it's just nothing but negativity.
No, you're right about that.
I try not to listen to it, because at the end of the day, it's just like anything else in life. If you go to Greek's Pizza and you have a wonderful pizza, you're going to leave fat and happy, and you may tell your friends, "Wow, Greek's has really good pizza," but you're not going to shout it from the mountaintops. Now, if Kurt Weitzel does something wrong with that pizza at Greek's Pizza, you're going to go online and make sure everybody knows how bad Greek's is, right?
Yep.
And government's no different. So you try not to let it sway you. But it'd sure be nice that the people that are happy are out there cheering you on and helping build momentum for the change that's coming.
It is amazing. And I think this is just normal, that you could stand on Park Street with people and they're like, this is cool. Where did this come from? Like their first visit. And they don't focus on the lack of parking. They don't focus on the construction zones. They're just like, this is cool. But that's not all over the place. It's where's the parking and where's the, this is under construction.
Yet, I saw a post this week from somebody, I didn't recognize the name, that was out there speaking on behalf of the city that says, we're only going to have 100 parking spots in downtown and we think that's enough. I'm like, who said that? We've got 4 developments coming. They're all going to have 100, 200, 300 public parking spaces. It's people that I don't know where they get their information, but then they go out there on social media like they're the expert. Like they have firsthand knowledge of something when they've never reached out to you. They've never asked a question. It's flabbergasting to me. And then it sets off a chain of negativity and information. And now people are thinking, well, the city's only going to build 100 parking spots for their entire downtown.
We closed. Really frustrating. So maybe it'd be great if people continue to follow along on the council meetings, show up at meetings, show up at the little community boards that are all over. Anything that they can be invited to, they should show up to for sure, right?
That's right. That's right. Be involved. It's your community. It's not my community. I'm one of probably 70,000 people that can say it's my community, but it's the entire community that should have a voice in how we move forward. And it'd be sure nice to hear from more residents on what they like and don't like. And we're here to take constructive criticism. We do it every day. But it's such a small percentage.
Well, Mayor Willis, I appreciate your time again. I think there's some awesome stuff going on and it is exciting. And thanks for your update in a few minutes. So cool.
Yeah, just wait. The next 3 or 4 months, the amount of just hang on. It's going to be an exciting 3 or 4 months coming for the city.
Is it? Finally seeing stuff. It's awesome, isn't it?
And then there's so much coming that's been percolating. I just can't wait for it to get out there for people to hear about.
Well, we look forward to it. We'll talk about it again. Cool.
Awesome.
All right. Have a great day.
Be safe, Kurt.